these back in May of 2022, I think it was, or sometime during the winter time of 2022, and I have loved wearing these. Since then, I have only made them in the black and white organic cotton that I typically have for my website, but I wanted to do something different, and I really loved this blue and white striped organic cotton that I found at Potter & Co, and I just thought that it was really pretty, and I thought that this would be the perfect pattern for them. This is a beginner to intermediate pattern, so if you're still very new to sewing, you can still give this a go, but when you get to the buttonhole, I would suggest to have a practice on some scrap piece of fabric before you go ahead and sew it. That's pretty much the only hard part to this, just the buttonhole, and maybe also the curve of the pockets here. These are really big, deep pockets as well. You can fit so much in here, which is great because I know that having small pockets is annoying. So these have huge pockets. Anyway, if you're ready to get into sewing, then let's do that now. I have timestamped this video as well for you guys, and I'll leave the link to purchase the sewing pattern in the description for you. Print out and assemble your patterns by following the pattern guide, and then it's time to cut out our fabric. If you're using a patterned fabric like I am, make sure that you cut out your pieces with the pattern going the same direction and have both a left and right side of your pieces. Remember to mark your notches as well. We'll work on the front pieces first and add the pockets. Grab your front panel piece and lay them flat, and then grab pocket bag 1 and align the curved edges. Pin in place and then do this for the other side. Remember to flip over your opposite front panel and pocket bag so that you have one for your left leg and one for your right leg. Once you have pinned in place, sew a straight stitch along the edge, adjusting the fabric as you sew around the curve. Now you can overlock this curve or zigzag stitch it instead if you don't have an overlocker, and repeat this for the other side. This is what it should look like. Now you can go to the iron and flip the pocket bag over and press and iron the seam flat. Next, we'll sew a straight stitch along that curve again to hold both the pocket bag and the front pants together. If you find that the fabric moves a bit, pin it in place before sewing. Do this for both sides. Now take pocket bag 2 and align the notches together on both the pocket bags and pin around the bottom edge of the pocket bags only, and then also pin along that straight edge that sits at the center front. Remember to only pin the pocket bags and sew the pocket bags. Do this for the other side as well, and then go to your sewing machine and sew a straight stitch starting from the top. Then, when you get to the corner, leave your needle in the fabric, lift the presser foot, swivel the fabric, place the presser foot down, and then continue to sew along the bottom edge. Once you've done both sides, overlock or zigzag stitch where we've just sewn. To hold our pocket down and attach the top and side to the pants panel, pin the top of the pocket bags to the pants and the sides as well, and then you can sew a straight stitch along the top edge and side edge to secure. Do this for both sides. Next, lay your front panel piece down with the good side facing up and grab your back panel piece and place on top with the good side facing the good side of the front panel. Align the inseam and pin in place. Repeat this for the other side. Then sew a straight stitch along the inseam on both pieces, and once you've finished that, you can then overlock or zigzag stitch the inseam. Next, iron your inseams so that they sit flat. Place one of your sides down flat with the good side up, and then take the opposite side and place it on top with the good sides facing. Align the inseams together and pin in place. Then go along the seat or the curved edge and pin all in place. Make sure that you have the front panel pieces on one side and the back panel pieces on the other side. Now sew where we've pinned, moving the fabric as you sew along the curved edge. Then you can overlock or zigzag stitch where we've just sewn. Next, take your pants and you'll need to meet the center front with the center back and have the good sides facing. From here, you can then go to the sides and pin along them to prepare for our side seams. Once pinned down both sides, sew a straight stitch along the edge. Make sure that when you're sewing over the side of the pocket bags that you're also catching all of the layers, otherwise there could be a hole in the pocket. Repeat for the opposite side, and then you can overlock the sides. Once you've overlocked both the side seams, you can then also go ahead and overlock the hems on both legs of the pants. Next, we'll attach the waistband. Meet the two ends together on the waistband and sew a straight stitch to close, and then you can overlock where we've just stitched. Flip your pants so that they're the right side out and find the back center seam on the pants. Align the seam with the waistband to the back center seam on the back of the pants and pin together with the good sides facing. Then find where the center front of the waistband would be and the center front seam on the front pants panel. You can then pull and align the rest of the waistband with the left and the right side seams and pin in place. Go to your sewing machine and sew a straight stitch along the edge to secure the waistband to the pants. Overlock the edge where we just sewed and also the opposite edge of the waistband. Once you've done that, I'd suggest to iron your waistband so that the seams of the waistband and the pants sit upwards into the waistband, as we'll be hiding it all on the inside in a moment. We'll then sew our drawstring holes open. I use a buttonhole maker. This one came with my sewing machine and it automatically sews a buttonhole. You may just end up having a buttonhole foot, which if your sewing machine doesn't come with it, you can get these online as long as your sewing machine is able to make buttonholes. You'll also need either a button or something that measures 1.5 centimeters wide that can sit in the buttonhole to create that sized hole. Attach your buttonhole foot and change your settings on your sewing machine so that you can make a buttonhole. And then we can go back to our pants and we'll mark on the fabric where the openings will be. Find your center front on the pants and measure up 1 centimeter from the center front, and then measure 1.5 centimeters to 2 centimeters to the left side and mark this with an air erasable pen or tailor's chalk. Then use either the button or measure 1.5 centimeters out from this mark and draw another line, and then just draw a line in the middle to connect these. This middle line will be where the opening of the buttonhole will be. Then repeat this for the other side, and you'll want your buttonholes to be about 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters away from each other. Now you can go to your sewing machine and sew your buttonholes. Remember, it's always a good idea to test sewing a buttonhole on a scrap piece of fabric first before sewing it on your actual fabric. Once you've made your buttonholes, take a seam ripper and some scissors and open up the buttonholes. Next, we'll close up the waistband. From the inside, fold the top of the waistband over by about 0.5 centimeters to the inside and then fold down your waistband in half to meet with the bottom edge of the waistband. Align the edges and pin in place, and repeat this all along the edge. I pin in place from the inside first and then move my pins to the outside after, as it just helps to make sure that I'm catching all the layers. When you're ready, sew a straight stitch as close to the bottom edge of the waistband as possible. I usually sew about 2 millimeters away from the edge. Once you get to the end, overlap the stitching a bit so that there are no holes in the waistband, and then back tack to secure. Go to your iron and you can now fold over the bottom edge to prepare for the hem. Fold up to the inside by 2 inches, press with your iron and pin in place your hem. Sew a straight stitch along the edge of your hem to hem your pants, and then repeat this for the other leg. Finally, we'll take our drawstring strap and fold it over lengthwise and overlock down this edge. If you don't have an overlocker, sew a straight stitch down this edge and cut off the excess fabric, leaving about 0.5 centimeters of excess there. Then, once you've overlocked, flip your strap inside out with a loop turner or a safety pin and go to your iron and iron it flat. For the ends, I like to tie a knot in them and cut off some of the excess fabric, leaving about 1 centimeters of fabric there. And then I use my hand or a seam ripper and fluff up the end where the knot is to create a sort of tassel. Trim some of the longer threads off to make it a bit neater and then repeat it for the other side. Take a safety pin and thread it through one of the ends and then thread this through the buttonhole on the pants. Continue to thread the drawstring through the pants until you get to the other side and then thread the end back through the buttonhole. Adjust your ruffles and make your drawstring even, and then you are finished your Isla pants. Congratulations, you have now made your very own Isla pants. These are super comfy, super fun, and as I said, you can adjust them just by moving the fabric along the draw strap there. If you want to, you can also add elastic in there as well, just before you add the drawstring or before you close up the waistband. Leave a little gap and then thread some elastic through there for your waistband, but I just use it without the waistband, without the elastic and just the drawstring, and I find it works perfectly fine. I also prefer to have most of the ruffles kind of pushed towards the back. I just think it sits a little bit nicer then, but you can kind of have the fabric all gathered up wherever you want on these. If you make your own Isla pants, please tag me on Instagram or TikTok at sewing_in_May on Instagram or at inmay_the_label on TikTok. I would love to see you guys create your very own, and stay tuned. I will be coming out with the Isla top very soon so you can make a matching set. Thanks so much. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.